This is my thoughts video on WWE Crown Jewel 2025. You know how it works now, I've done enough of these, so let's not waste any time and jump straight in with the opener, which was Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed in an Australian street fight. Obviously, this is the second match of their current feud, and just like how they kicked off Clash in Paris, they kicked off it here in what it was a really good way and a hot opener. Fantastic choice to get the crowd hyped for the whole show. Obviously, this being Reed in front of his home countrymen and that, which you would have thought he would get some sort of positive reaction. That didn't happen because obviously the whole crowd was firmly on Roman's side in the whole match, and obviously Roman is coming in looking for revenge after getting taken out at the end of Clash in Paris by Reed after tsunamis off the top turnbuckle. And yeah, it was a hot opener. Straight away brawling it into around ringside and then into the crowd with Roman firmly in control. The crowd obviously enjoyed the interaction whilst they were in the crowd area, and then by the time they got back to the ringside area, we got Roman pulling out a cricket bat and a rugby ball, which he then decided to lob at Heyman for a very funny little skit where Heyman almost fell over trying to avoid the rugby ball. Then we got, like I said, the use of the cricket bat, and Roman starts also interacting with the crowd around this point with asking them for if they want to see a table, they have to acknowledge him, which also the crowd immediately do because for two reasons. They love Roman and also tables. The crowd will do anything for tables. It's around this point though that things start changing with Reed fighting back and getting in control for a while. It's also at this point where other weapons such as the steel steps and the old-fashioned giant stop sign get brought into the match for a bit of fun. Yeah, so Reed obviously working over Roman for a bit, building to Roman's comeback and that, which seemingly happens when he looks to do his run around the ringside spear. But as he gets halfway around, he gets taken out by Bronson Reed's tag team partner, Bron Breakker, who spears him out of nowhere. This leads to a really cool spot of the Bronze powerbombing Reigns through the announce table for a really good devastating spot, taking Reigns out for a little bit, which leads to his cousins, the Usos, coming out for a decent pop and the save. They run wild, they take out the Bronze, but it's not really effective as Breakker immediately gets back up, lays out Jay, and then spears Jimmy right through the barricade. And yeah, so it looks all for nothing from the Usos' input as Bronson looks to take out Jay, only for Roman to save him and set up the Superman punch on Reed. Now this seemingly is going to work, except for Reigns goes for Breakker, who gets on the apron to take him out. Obviously this leads all to the finish. This is the finish of the match. Reed looks to put Roman through the table that's been set up in the corner of the ring, and for a really good shocker and a really good way of protecting Roman in a certain way, he escapes, only for Jay to spear him through the not through the announce table, through the table that was in the ring, by accident, obviously, with the target being Reed. And, you know, afterwards, a tsunami, and Bronson Reed wins. He beats Roman Reigns relatively clean in his home country. So yeah, awesome match, very fun, and a very hot way to open the show. Following the Australian street fight, we got the first of our two Crown Jewel championships, this one being for the women's of Stephanie Vacour, the women's world champion, versus Tiffany Stratton, the WWE women's champion. This was a really solid match for me, between two women who have really been able to capture the spotlight this year. And also, it does show that the company has faith in the younger, newer talent instead of just putting on, you know, the more popular names and the veterans that everyone knows. So to give them the spotlight here that they've already earned by winning the championships was a really good moment, I felt. Interestingly, especially in the match, obviously the whole story, the whole interest going into the matches, this is Tiffany's year. She's won the women's championship and she's undefeated. She's not been pinned at all this year. So going into it, it's like, well, that's the match. Going to be interesting. Are you going to have Tiffany lose, or are you going to have Stephanie lose when she's just on the cusp of being this top hot prospect for the main roster, as you know, she's just won the world championship. Yeah, very solid match with both of them having the other one scouted out, especially Stephanie, with everything Tiffany gave. She was able to counter it by the tiniest mistake that Tiff hit, and then vice versa, and it all led to the finish where Tiffany set up for the prettiest moonsault ever, but Vacour was able to roll out the way and hit a corkscrew splash for the win. Yeah, for me, this was a solid match, and there's two takeaways from this. This one shows that they're really entrusting and seeing Stephanie as a future main star, and much like how Io the previous year was like given the women's title, and then we thought this would be the one off time, but no, as we've seen, she's become one of the most popular stars and one of the top stars in the women's roster on Raw. So hopefully this will be the similar thing for Stephanie. But the more interesting thing, which is my second takeaway, is this going to be the downfall of Tiffany? Is this going to be the start of her downfall? The first loss, this is going to be the crack in the armour that's going to fall apart. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, solid match. Afterwards, we got the most probably for everyone, I say everyone, it's a no-brainer, the most popular match of the night, which was AJ Styles versus John Cena in his final overseas match. There's only one word for me to describe this match. It was excellent. I loved it. For a match which has had zero build, as it's only been announced on Twitter, and Cena hasn't been on any shows since Palooza building towards this. I think AJ's had one promo towards it, but that's about it. For a match that has had zero build, the pair of them really let their actions in the ring make up for the fact that it's had no build, and that's why I think this match is so excellent. Starting off, you got Styles coming out in his trunks out of 2005 TNA, which really popped me. It's like, yes, awesome. And I do believe this is the very first time he's worn trunks in WWE. I'm pretty sure I've never seen him on a pay-per-view or a premium live event wear trunks. So that's a first, if that is true. The opening of the match, yeah, was a lot of fun. But before we got to the actual match itself, we had the introductions of, obviously, Cena being called the greatest of all time and that. But before the match actually started, Cena actually wrote an introduction for AJ, in which we got a nod to TNA, and surprisingly for me, Cena named him the greatest leader of the Bullet Club, and we got mention of the actual Bullet Club, not just the club, but actual Bullet Club. And when you actually think about the list of leaders that the Bullet Club has had over the years, Cena saying AJ's the greatest is a big choice. Fair enough, but like I said, that was really surprising. The match itself started off, like I said, with the just feeling out each other, taking it a bit slow, getting it all warmed up. But to be fair, the crowd were already out of their seats saying this was awesome immediately. And it was a fun little warm-up before we got into what I like to call a tribute spot fest, which is basically between the two they were trading signature moves from past rivals from both of their careers, starting with, and I've got a list here, Miz's Skull Crushing Finale, Sting's Scorpion Deathlock, Bryan Danielson's LeBell Lock, Rusev's Accolade, Samoa Joe's Coquina Clutch, Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho, which got mentioned on commentary as Chris Jericho's Walls of Jericho. Then we got Christopher Daniels' Angel Wings, a pedigree attempt for Triple H, Hangman Page's Dead Eyes, and then we got a draping DDT and an RKO from Randy Orton, as well as a punt kick attempt. Chokeslam, obviously in reference to both Kane and The Undertaker. A 619 attempt by Cena, which I'm thankful he didn't actually hit. And then a Sweet Chin Music from Shawn Michaels, and Tombstone Piledriver in respect of The Undertaker. That is everything I counted in the match. That is a tribute to somebody else's move. Obviously, if I've missed any, I do apologise, but this is what I've got noted down whilst watching the match. But my personal favourite, though, of all these tribute moves was when Cena reversed a phenomenal forearm attempt into what seemingly looked like the rock bottom, as he had him in position for it, but turned it into a Sister Abigail attempt. A Sister Abigail in reference to his great rival Bray Wyatt. So yeah, we got Bray Wyatt, Sister Abigail, which led to the fans doing all the Firefly attempts, fly with their phones, which was great. I get if people are a bit turned off on this because it's just moves from other wrestlers and not the wrestlers in the ring, their attempt. But also, I see this as not just, let's just do moves from others. This is a love letter to wrestling and these wrestlers that have made those moves so iconic. Especially as this is seen as very last year. I mean, we've only got 4 more appearances, and AJ has announced that he's retiring next year. So for the pair of them to go out in their final match and put on a clinic like this and make it a love letter to not just themselves but to wrestling as a whole, can't ask for anything more nice. Afterwards we got, like I said, a few more. It was a bit more back and forth, and then the match came when Cena hit an AA, but before he hit it for the win, he hit the Tombstone Piledriver as a send-off to both AJ and Cena's one of their last rivals. Obviously, AJ being the one to retire The Undertaker, and Cena having his one of his last Mania matches against Taker. in it, and it really amazes me that, like I said, this is an excellent match, and I do believe this is going to be match of the year contendership, which is incredible considering Cena had, arguably the worst match of the year, and is going to be argued as worst match of the year by with Cody at WrestleMania. So he's had the worst match of the year and potentially the best match of the year in his retirement tour, which is definitely something that wasn't expecting. But yeah, loved this match. Following the excellent match between AJ and Cena, we got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus the Kabuki Warriors of Asuka and Kairi Sane. For these four women, they had a very difficult job. They had to follow Cena or AJ, as well as get the crowd into their match, who at the start of this match were very quiet after giving Ripley, the home country girl, a huge monstrous pop. The match itself started off really fast paced with a brawl between all four before Asuka and Kairi took out Rhea, and it led to Asuka and Io being the two to start the match. Finally, these two coming to blows after everything that's been going on, which has been probably one of the more interesting stories on Raw over the last couple of weeks. This led to Io running wild for a bit before Asuka cut her off and started working over her, building to the Rhea hot tag for the crowd to erupt. But what surprised me most about this during this working over Io period, she actually got a comeback of herself and actually was able to run wild and beat down Asuka before tagging in Rhea for the hot tag, which you don't always see. It's more or less whoever gets worked down tags in their partner, they get the hot run and hot tag and take everyone down with their comeback. So yeah, it was quite good. Obviously when Rhea got tagged in, huge pop, monstrous pop, and from this point on the match really became really solid with several big spots, very fun, and this led to very close calls between both teams, getting very close pinfalls. But in the end, and as we come to the finish, Rhea hit the Riptide on Kairi, but allowed Io to hit the moonsault and get the pin for the two. This then brings us to our main event of the evening, which was the Crown Jewel Championship match between WWE Undisputed Champion Cody Rhodes versus World Champion Seth Rollins. Is it a surprise that these two had a really solid match, which was really great? I don't think so. Heading into Crown Jewel itself, though, this is probably the best thing going, as for Seth, he dropped all the goofiness and the annoyingness of his character that makes him pretty much unbearable to watch on TV, as he starts doubting himself, really seriously doubting himself that he can beat Cody, as going into this match he's 0-3, obviously lost against Cody in his return match at WrestleMania 38, then lost the rematch at WrestleMania Backlash, and then lost the Hell in a Cell match against Cody at Hell in a Cell, which obviously is very nice, because in a nice detail, Seth had all three of the attires that he wore for those matches stitched into his tights in this match. So yeah, that was very nice, and it really it was a visual metaphor of Seth in his own head. He's constantly thinking about his previous failures against Cody, and he needs to win, but he can't do it because he's in his own head, doubting himself, which leads us to the opening of the match where Cody just basically out wrestles Seth really easily, and Seth gets frustrated, rolling out the ring, getting in his own head, and then starts having to go at Wade Barrett and Michael Cole, especially because where they're telling the story and saying that Cody's most likely going to win because he's got the clear head, and Seth is just not in his prime position to beat Cody because he's in his own head. This obviously led to the match really getting great, with Seth giving everything he had to put Cody down, but Cody just being able to keep kicking out, keep getting up over and over again, and vice versa, with Cody just keep giving Seth everything he had, but Seth just not willing to let another loss to Cody happen. This led to some really good spots, including Cody being put in a tree of woe and Seth hitting a coast to coast on him, but instead of hitting him with his feet, he hit him with a headbutt, which is very different, but I mean, sure, why not? And then Cody hitting Seth with a crossroads off the top rope for a very close call. And this, like I said, just really elevated what the two were willing to do to put the other one away, to beat them. And this leads to the finish of the match, where Seth grabs his watch that he wore down during his entrance, that he already teased using. Behind the ref's back, he used it against Cody, hit a curb stomp, and then hit a second one off the top rope for the victory. Finally, Seth's able to beat Cody, and he's your new WWE Crown Jewel champion. Sadly, though, with the end of the match, meant it's also the end of Seth and his serious character, as in his promo after the match, he reverted straight back to his obnoxious, annoying character, which is disappointing for me, but I mean, I'll take it for what I can. I got serious Seth for a bit, and the match was really great, and a great way to close out Crown Jewel. In conclusion, WWE Crown Jewel 2025, for me, one of the best PLEs of the year, like easily one of the best for me, and really should have been the show that kicked off the ESPN deal last month, with instead of WrestlePalooza, which was, compared to this, just terrible. And yeah, this really should have been the one to kick off this new era with ESPN. For me, every match was good. There was not a bad match or a weak match on this show for me personally. You had a great opener of Roman versus Bronson, the excellent match of Cena Styles, a great closer between Seth and Cody, and both of the women's matches for me really held their own up against these really great matches, and yeah, very fun night, and definitely would recommend you watch the whole show as a whole. So I hope you enjoyed this video and my thoughts, and see you soon.